Hello, I'm Sophie. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm at the Swedish Tank Museum. So I'm gonna show you some tanks, but they do have a lot, so I'm gonna give you a closer look at some and tell you a little bit. And they are sectioned in different time periods. So we were greeted by some tanks from the World War I to begin with. Here is a French tank from 1927. They did have some more tanks from World War I, but we are now going to look at some tanks from World War II. The tank we are seeing now is a Swedish tank made by Landsverk. In Sweden we call it M38 or M38, and it was built in 1939. Here is another Swedish tank built by Landsverk. In Sweden we call it M40, and this was taken in use in 1942. Here we have another one made in Sweden by Scania Vabis. In Sweden we call it Stormartillerivagn M43, and that can be translated to self-propelled artillery. And here is a tank from the United Kingdom called Sherman Firefly. And here we have a German tank called Stug 3. And this was a good one because it was the most produced German tank during World War II. Here we have a tank from the Soviet Union. It is called T-34, and this tank was first put into service in 1940, and I read that in 2023 more than 80 are still being used, and this tank has been used in many wars. Well, we are now closing in at the end of World War II, and here you see, well, it's not a tank, it's a tank destroyer. It's a Swedish model built by Landsverk, and in Swedish we call it Pansarvärnskanon M43. And I really liked that they had built like those sceneries or props in the museum, because it kind of reminds you that you are not just looking at cool tanks, but actually you're looking at history, and that history is about war. So kind of good to remind yourself about that. Now we are moving to the Cold War, And here you see a Swedish prototype. We call it Artillerikanonvagn 151. And this was built by Landsverk in 1960, and the guns are from Bofors. Here we have a British tank called Centurion, and in Sweden we call it Stridsvagn 101. And this is also a Centurion that we in Sweden have the name Stridsvagn 104 on, and that is because they have like different equipment and different production numbers. Here we see a Russian tank called T-72. They started producing it in 1971 in the Soviet Union, and well, Russia is still producing it today. And well, here is me checking out this terrain vehicle in this old military jacket that I tried on, and this rain protective hat. And here we have a Swedish, I think, cool looking tank. It is called Stridsvagn S, and it was in service between 1967 and 1997. And this tank doesn't have a turret, as you can see when we take a look from above. So we have now reached the end. Just this one left, a Combat Vehicle 90, Swedish one. And before going home I couldn't resist taking a ride in a Panzerbandvagn, or as you could translate it to, armored personnel carrier. It was a very fun ride. So if you are still watching, thank you very much. I had a very nice visit at the Swedish Tank Museum, and of course there is a lot more to learn and to look at. And they do have their own YouTube, so go and check it out. So bye for now and see you next time.